Hey, what's up, guys? Before I begin this video, which is called Planets Don't Exist, and I also deal with the other few key issues, I did make a video called Planets Don't Exist in the past, but this one really, that was just to warm you up. This is to really to drive home the point, and also to deal with, is there more land beyond the ice ring? Okay, the so-called South Pole. And if there is there Elysium, Atlantis, or whatever land they're hiding over there, some sort of utopia, whatever's over there that they don't want us going over there, we have the right to know. And if it's if it's a hologram wall, as some of the so-called flat earthers were proposing, then we need to find out if that exists too. Okay, with our own eyes. All right, so that's what I'm gonna be dealing with, and a few other issues. I also want to give a big shout out to Math Boylan. Had a great conversation with you. And hey, Math Boylan is the flat Earth president. We're gonna be honest about it. I love what everyone else is doing, but Math Boylan's been doing it 15 plus years, and so has experience in this area. And he says that I've been in it for a while too. So I didn't just wake up one morning and start talking about this. He remembers me from years ago. So but he's really been on the forefront. We know there's been flat earth groups from the 1800s, but Math has really been on the forefront. So big shout out to Math Boylan. And whatever people do in their videos, I love what people are doing, but whatever people are doing does not reflect my views. Okay? I think there's more land, and that's it. I don't talk about any other group besides NASA. All right? Or the people who are lying to us. That's it. All right? So whatever other people say does not reflect my views. All right? So, that's that. So go purchase the book. When you purchase the book is great, but it's done, it went beyond my expectations. But please write a review, because I know a lot of people haven't written reviews yet. But please write a review. But the book went beyond my expectations. It's doing great. I made a lot of sales. I'm surprised because I didn't think I'd make that many. But the money that you guys, the money that comes from the books goes for me buying more equipment, such as telescopes, lasers, and such and so forth, because we have more. I linked up, we have a crew, and there's more experiments coming up. So, and there's a lot of good things in the works. So when you purchase that book, your money doesn't go in vain. And I don't even want to donate, like a lot of people setting up the GoFundMe accounts and stuff like that. No, at least at the best case scenario, you purchase a book, at least you're getting something in return. Okay, so it's a win-win situation. You're not just giving me money, okay? And in fact, I'm going to be making a sequel to Beyond the Horizon 2, which is going to be way more extensive, okay? But, way more extensive 3D book. So, but anyways, let's get on to the key issues here. All right, let's start now. Yeah, and these lasers are the ones we're going to be using in our experiments, depending on which ones we get. But, we definitely have some good stuff coming up, which is all gonna be on footage, so you'll be able to see that. Now, let's move on to this planet confusion thing. Like you've seen in my other videos, they just pull in withdrawal planets whenever they feel like it, whenever it's convenient for them. Okay, so let's read here. Astronomers estimate there could be as many as 200 dwarf planets in the solar system and Kuiper Belt, but the differences between the planets and dwarf planets may not be obvious at first. So here we go. We have 200 planets floating around, circling our sun in our solar system that they haven't discovered. How do you go from 9 to 8 to now 200 that you haven't discovered? But somehow everyone sees Sigma Octantis, but we have planets we haven't discovered. All right, so I mean, come on, guys. They have no clue how many so-called planets there are, because they don't really exist. Okay, though, like I said, stars and planets, they're just celestial bodies. That's all they are. Okay, like distant moons. So these, them saying that doesn't make any sense. Now let's move forward. These are just a handful, just a few of the so-called dwarf planets in our solar system. Now, keep in mind, they don't call it planets simply because they're small. They call them dwarf planets for various different reasons, okay? And we're going to talk about that, and I'm going to show you that in a second. Now, the solar system may have two undiscovered planets, not dwarf planets, but actual planets. The presence of the closer of the two planets had already been suggested in previous works. The new study provides more evidence in its existence as a second planet. Both studies are based on observations of objects far beyond Neptune's orbit, called extreme trans-Neptunian objects. That's just some more bullshit they made up. These ETNOs display shared patterns in their orbits, which suggests they are being influenced by gravitationally by heavier objects much further away from the sun. While this conclusion is based on a small sample, 13 bodies. There goes that number 13 again. The authors confirm that their results are statistically significant and that at least two planets orbiting far beyond Pluto's orbit are the most likely explanation for the observations. So we got some planets that are floating around that are undiscovered. This is 2015. This is ridiculous, people. We should have had this figured out thousands of years ago. All right. Now, here's another. So this is Eris, right? Eris right there. And this is on NASA's website. This is a planet, or let me correct myself, a dwarf planet that somehow is bigger than Pluto, that's floating around in the solar system, and they're not sure of it. If it's a dwarf planet, if it's a planet, or what the hell they want to call it, right? I mean, come on. I mean, if we look right here, see, it's even closer than Pluto. Its orbit most of the year, so or its year. So look at that. I mean, come on. I mean, seriously, guys, we got planets and they don't even count it. That's ridiculous. All right, so let's move forward. Here's another one, Haumea. All right, this is the cheesiest drawing I've ever seen in my life. It literally looks like they're taking a photograph of like the bottom of a shoe. They just cut out like a black, piece of paper. Oh my God. It's like they're not even trying anymore. They might be getting out of the business of bullshitting people. All right, here's another planet. It's called Makemake. All right, here's another planet that's just floating around out there. Makemake holds an important place in the solar system because, along with Eris in 2003, was one of the objects whose discovery prompted the IAU to reconsider the definition of a planet and to create the new group of dwarf planets. So now they just, okay, well, shoot, we're not sure about all of these objects that are floating up there. So the ones we're not sure about, we'll call dwarf planets, right? And then we'll make another group called midget planets. And then we'll make another group called munchkin planets, right? So they'll just in giant planets and gas planets, and they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Okay, visually it is the second brightest trans-Neptunian object, following after Pluto, and is bright enough to be seen through a high-end amateur telescope. A peak magnitude of roughly 16.5. Mike Brown explains the orbit is not particularly strange, but the object itself is big, probably about 2/3 the size of Pluto. Yeah, you don't know what you're talking about. All right, so space.com traces. Now we're going to deal with Uranus because Uranus, that's like the funniest name ever. We're dealing with Uranus, and Uranus is like composed of methane, right? So let's read this, right? Traces of hydrocarbons are also present in the air, because you need air to ignite something, around Uranus. Ice is made up of water, ammonia, and possibly methane also exists in the atmosphere. Meteorites, we gotta know meteorites and space shuttles, supposedly. Re-entry temperatures can reach as high as 3,000 degrees, supposedly, right? So now, let's keep going. It appears that normally accepted minimum auto ignition temperature for methane is 537 degrees or 540 degrees Celsius was theoretically rather than experimentally derived. No values with a firm experimental basis lie beyond 600 degrees Celsius. Our minimum auto ignition temperature of 600 degrees Celsius, the lowest available. So if these meteorites hitting, now we know meteorites hit just about every planet. Okay, they don't pick and choose which planet they're going to hit. When there's a meteorite impact and it hits Uranus, okay, with air and methane also present in the atmosphere, and with the re-entry of 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit, and we know to ignite methane is 600 degrees, why isn't the whole planet just blowing up? It should just, like, the whole thing should just ignite. I mean, the numbers aren't adding up. I mean, you can't have it both ways. You can't have this thing made of methane, but then it just never gets ignited. And sometimes they'll show you on Discovery Channel, they'll have like little scenarios where the whole thing burns up, but it just never happens. It's ridiculous. All right, so here's a picture of Uranus. Now, this looks so cheesy, like they just edit this whole thing out. It doesn't even look proportioned. And this is not what I saw through the telescope, by the way. But then they'll show this picture. Some pictures will look like this, and then other pictures, it will look like this. So this is Uranus, right there. And this is Uranus. But one has rings, and the other one doesn't. So they'll always, NASA, 50% of the time they'll show rings, and then the other 50% of the time, there won't be rings, as if they just get too lazy and just say, fuck it, we're not gonna edit it in. The people will believe this shit anyway. So that's what it seems like. So here, more bullshit. Make up your mind what the planet looks like. And the ring's always curving. Oh, come on. Like, how come it's not curving the opposite way? How come they're not getting a different angle shot? I mean, it's so much bullshit. All right, so here we go. 2 centuries ago, in 1806, William Herschel discovered the 7th planet. Uranus was exactly 25 years in the past, but astronomers were rejoicing in the discovery of 3 new planets in the last 3 years. Ceres in 1801, Pallas in 1802, and Juno in 1804. And Vesta was about to be discovered in 1807. That's an asteroid, right? Big asteroid. So in 1806, astronomers thought there were 11 planets. Listen to that. Astronomer James Hilton has shown how for almost 50 years the nautical almanacs listed 12 planets, including Vesta. Then, 39 years later, after those 4 new planets had been discovered, came a problem. In 1847, 3 new planets were found. And by the end of 1851, there were 15 planets. So they went from 15 planets down to 9 planets. And I think in 2008 is when they got rid of Pluto and designated it a dwarf planet. Now we're down to 8. But down there saying, well, maybe there's 2 new planets they're going to discover. But then hold on, there's another 200 dwarf planets. Well, we'll call them dwarf planets for now until we decide we're going to make them actual planets. They don't know. They don't know. There is no consensus or official way for them to say, hey, this is how many planets are, and that is it. The final word is not out. And you talk about science, we went to the moon, supposedly, and you can't tell me how many planets are in our solar system? Forget about the Milky Way galaxy and other galaxies out there. They don't even know what's right in our own supposedly in our own backyard. All right, so now here is, Dawn, Ceres. Oh, look at this. Oh, this is so, I mean... Right? So look at this. We can see all the way to the edge of the universe, but what the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? Seriously, come on, guys. This is bullshit right here. I mean, come on, this is so All right. you know what? It's ridiculous. But let me move forward and let me get on to the the real stuff here, because this is just getting ridiculous. They don't know how many planets exist, and they will never know, because planets and stars are all orbiting, and planets don't exist. They're just celestial moons. That's what I call them. Hey, what's up, guys? We're at the observatory, which is right there, and we're headed down there now to do some investigating. The bullshit is about to begin. Hi, excuse me. Hi, do you work here?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I got a quick question.
Sure.
The dinosaurs. Now, are these actual dinosaurs?
So these are replica fossils.
Right.
We don't use our real fossils for displays for a number of reasons. So.
Oh, why is that?
Real fossils, number one, they're actually really heavy. So to put them together in a display is kind of like asking it to get broken.
This is the most complete Stegosaurus ever found anywhere.
It's the last thing, isn't it?
It's great. This is number 13.
We have a huge amount of work to do with this. What we actually have is around 9 months to do all of the scientific work associated with the skeleton before we then put it out onto permanent display in our public galleries.
Little kids will come knock it over.
The skull alone of our T-Rex, the replica one that we have, weighs about 60 pounds. The actual skull weighs about 2 tons.
Wow. So what about those in there?
Inside our glass cases, we do have a lot of real fossils.
Okay.
They're not hanging. They are safely away from touching hands. You're very right. Children can try to touch things. They don't want their fossils to get broken. Another reason we use replicas, though, is because sometimes we only have one really, really good specimen. Stan the T-Rex is over 90% complete, which is great. Oftentimes, for example, with the Pachycephalosaurus specimens, for a really long time we had only found the skulls. It's only in recent years that we found some of the actual body.
Okay.
So a lot of times we'll find a dinosaur that is not a complete skeleton. So with Stan the T-Rex being as complete as he is, we can make replicas that go all over the world to a number of different science centers.
Wow.
You can see Stan in Canada.
So where are the real ones at?
For Stan, it was the University of Wyoming. So
Oh, this guy?
I think, yeah, this
Okay.
guy, Stan the T-Rex.
Okay.
I think that the University of Wyoming is who has the real fossils, but they're often kept kind of behind the scenes.
Okay.
A good rule of
because
thumb,
it's yeah.
Yeah, a good rule of thumb to think about when you go to any museum or science center is if you could touch it, it's not going to be real. Our replicas get broken. Obviously, it's not ideal, but it's not the end of the world.
Wow.
Kids have
Is that the
broken
same with the
pieces of this all
Neanderthals?
time. Yeah, those skulls are all replicas too, I believe. I don't think there's any actual bone material in there.
Okay.
But you were right about these glass cases. This one in particular has a lot of really great stuff in it.
Okay, so these particular are actually authentic.
These are also mostly from Florida because a lot of these were donated by the Florida fossil hunters. So we've got a lot of fish, stingrays here. There's all sorts of little shark teeth and stuff.
So anything's in that's in these glass
the glass cases,
Wow.
like the stuff down here. This is agatized coral right here. Apparently it's Florida's official gemstone, and it's a unique fossil formation.
Wow, that's cool. This is not
This
real.
one is a replica, I believe, yeah.
Okay. It's this one.
But this one, yeah.
Wow.
And the more you get to see fossils too, the better you'll get at saying, oh, that one's a replica, But yeah, there's a lot of good reasons to use replicas as well. For example,
Whatever happened to the Brontosaurus, the one with the long neck?
That is a great question. Okay, so you may have heard some debate about the
Right.
Brontosaurus, the Apatosaurus. There was all of this controversy.
Right.
Basically what happened was two different scientists had found very, very similar fossils, and each one of them said, I found this species. One
So
guy
it's a
said, this is the Apatosaurus. One guy said, this is the Brontosaurus. Scientists sometimes can be pretty bad about sharing with each other, too. So
it's compartmentalized.
Yeah. And
Okay.
there was drama within the paleontological community.
Wow.
So originally, there was 2 species. Then we looked at the data. We said, no, Brontosaurus is out. That's just an Apatosaurus. So for a while,
that's
that
not
was
this.
the conclusion.
Okay.
And then recently, only within the past year, scientists went back and said, no, this one shows enough variation. This is its own species. Brontosaurus is indeed, again, a separate species.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
And that happens
Wow.
a lot among scientists when we find fossils that
It's
look similar.
It's
yeah,
a huge.
yeah.
It's a,
Once every millimeter of the stegosaur has been digitally captured, the team can start assembling the 300 bones that make up the real skeleton. After 9 months under the scientific spotlight, the Stegosaurus can now take up residence in the museum galleries.
All right, let's look at this BS right here. These are not real. These are not real. Look at this. Look at this. These are replicas. You heard her say it. They're all fake. We're being lied to, people. I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Are those actual real mummies in there?
Yep, they are.
Are they real Neanderthals in there too?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay.
This
Okay.
is Mumab. He's the most recent one.
Okay.
He was actually mummified in, I believe, 94.
Okay.
So he donated his body to
Oh,
science.
really?
Yeah.
So he's not actually from Egypt, like.
Not at all. Actually,
No!
most of the mummies inside here aren't from Egypt.
No kidding. So he actually donated his body and get. Can I do that?
What they did is
This is probably where they're gonna film the fake Mars landing. Right in here.
that's what it's there for.
Wow. Can you see the planets during the daytime?
These you can if you look.
Oh wow.
Apollo missions actually were.
Right there, it's Venus. Right. Yeah.
See it? Looks like the moon, doesn't it? Right. Right.
Wow.
That's
Let
Venus.
me see this.
As it gets between us and the sun, between the sun,
Oh wow.
it turns into a crescent.
Can you see anything? I want to take a picture.
Well,
Let me see if I could see that. The smog. Oh, I see it way over there. That smog plant. It's too faint. Yeah. How many? It looks like it's about 30, 40 miles that way. Oh, you gotta zoom in?
Alright, here we go.
Yeah, let's see.
It's
Let's
so
see.
faint.
Oh man.
You go right.
Oh,
up,
there you go.
there.
Oh, there it goes. No, it isn't. How far have you guys pointed the telescope?
Like in space or?
Oh, out here, like when you're bored and you're just BSing.
Orlando, the Disney fireworks. So Magic Kingdom wishes fireworks.
Where's that at?
It's like there,
How far is that?
23 miles.
Oh,
give
that.
or take.
It's those two. It looks like those two towers you might be talking.
Yeah, it's just I think to the right.
To the right? Wow. Wow. Okay, so this is a refractor, just so I can remember this.
And that's a reflector.
This one, you have to align it, but then it follows it because of the rotation of the Earth. So it kind of knows.
Yeah, it has a machine that compensates for the rotation.
Okay.
So it's got like gears that know how much the Earth spins.
Okay.
And how many seconds. Or
Okay.
Right where the camera
Oh yeah, I
is?
see it.
Yeah.
Whoa, look at that.
Yeah, you can get closer, try to get closer.
Wow.
And then so focus. Yeah, there you go.
Oh man, this is cool. I'm posting on Facebook.
Like I actually just did one, so yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. So,
There we go.
there you
Oh, nice.
times that Earth itself has been protected from an impact by Jupiter taking over us instead. Except we can fit about 3 Earths inside that storm. That's a pretty big hurricane, don't you think?
Okay, so now we're told that the telescope actually keeps up with the rotation of the Earth. Okay, so we're going to have to deal with a couple of things there because apparently what they were saying doesn't make sense, and we're going to do some basic math. Now, the Earth is moving around the sun at 67,000 miles an hour. Now, that's really, really fast, okay? And we'll come back to that. Venus is 162 million miles away at its furthest, okay? So it's 162 million miles, okay, from Earth, all right? So that's a really long distance, so any sort of movement, it would definitely be picked up, all right? And it says, so the Earth takes 1 day to rotate on its axis, which we know, and it takes 1 year to revolve around the sun. Venus, on the other hand, takes 243 days to turn once on its axis, and it takes almost 225 days to travel around the sun in orbit. As you can see, a day on Venus is longer than its year. So, 243 days for it to turn once on its axis, okay? And 225 days to travel around the sun. So, it takes 225 days to go around the sun, okay? So, write that down. All right, so we're going to do some math here. Venus travels at an average speed of 78,000 miles per hour. We're rounding it off, okay? 78,000 miles per hour. All right, so let's go back here. If the Earth is moving at 67,000 miles per hour around the sun, and Venus is traveling at 78,000 miles per hour around the sun, don't you think that Venus would be like a bullet in the sky? We're talking in the thousands. Okay, thousands of miles. It would be very hard for the telescope to keep up. Now, what the scientists will say is that Venus is so far away that it cannot, the movement cannot be measured. It can't be seen. So let's see. All right. So now we know the Earth, it spins on its axis at the equator. Now, let's read this here. It says, at the equator, the circumference of the Earth is 40,000 kilometers, and the day is 24 hours long. We know that. So the speed is 1,670 kilometers, right? Little tongue twisted there. And it's 1,037 miles an hour. All right, so that's if you're standing on the equator, you're like by Brazil. Okay, so you're by Brazil, and you know this is how fast Earth is moving. But as you move north to the North Pole, the rate of speed decreases because you have a smaller circumference up towards the poles. Okay, so let's go here, and now we can see Venus is very close, is closer to the sun than Earth. So if you're able to see, let's see here, Venus doesn't make any visible light on its own. It shines by reflecting sunlight. Right now, Venus is well up in the morning sky before sunrise. So in order for, it would be impossible for you to see Venus if the sun is behind Venus. Okay? So keep that in mind. If you were on Earth looking at Venus, the sun would cause a would basically overshadow the light coming from Venus. You wouldn't be able to see Venus. The sun, the glare from the sun will blind you. That's what's called opposition planet. Okay, opposition planets is when the planets are on the same side of the sun and it's harder to see them. All right. So now we go right here. We're going to take a look at this. Right now, this is Venus. All right. Venus, if you're on Earth and the Earth is rotating at 1,000, some say 1,080 miles per hour, 1,040 miles per hour, doesn't matter, 1,000 miles per hour, the Earth is spinning on its axis. Now, Venus is going around the sun and is passing by Earth. All right? Because the Earth is spinning at such a fast rate of speed, moving around the sun at a such fast rate of speed, and Venus is traveling around the sun at such a fast rate of speed, it would be impossible to measure and keep up with the Earth's rotation. It simply would be. Why? Because if the telescope is following the Earth's rotation to stay pinpointed on Venus, that would make sense maybe if you're on the equator. But as you move to the north or move to the so-called south, that rate of speed will change. Now, these telescopes don't measure the different latitudes of rates of speed. It doesn't measure that. All it measures, according to them, is the rate of speed the Earth is spinning. It does not measure the differential depending on where you are on the planet. That is 100% proof. Just on that alone. And I haven't even gotten started, but just on that alone. You cannot measure that. And if you could measure it, they don't calculate it in their telescopes. And go to any observatory, ask them. They don't. Maybe the scientists forgot to add that into their equation if they're trying to lie to you. Okay? So, just keep that one in mind, all right? Just keep that one in mind. Now, you see that star right there? Right up there. And that one. And those up there. You don't really know what they are. Okay? Nobody's been high enough to really prove or disprove what they are. Nobody's grabbed a sample of them. So those stars right there they could be so-called planets. I mean, whatever, celestial bodies, or they could just be emitting its own light. But whatever they are, they certainly aren't these giant gaseous planets that they're telling us about with rings and everything around them. They're really small. And those rings that are going around them, they're not what they're telling you they are, trust me. Alright, so now what we're talking about here is we're at an observatory. Okay, we're at an observatory. We're looking at Venus, Saturn, and a distant galaxy, which is a spiral galaxy. Now, explain to me how you're able to see Venus and you're able to see Saturn on the same telescope in an observatory at the top of an observatory. How can you see both of them without changing the focus? Now, you're going to tell me that the telescope automatically adjusts focus to the planet, so-called planet? No. It simply looks up there. The telescope looks at the planet without adjusting it. Why? Because the planets are not that far away. And they're not seeing galaxies. The galaxies that you're seeing are CGI. Okay? They're fed in through a GPS. The only telescopes that could actually see those type of galaxies, those real far distant galaxies, are the really big controlled observatories. Okay? They get all their information coming in through different corporations like Verizon Wireless. Verizon Wireless has stations at these towers, at these observatories. All right? So the fact that you can see, and the reason why I did this relation, to show you the relation of the planets, is because if you look at a tree with the same telescope, and you could look 23 miles to this tree right here with the same telescope, but somehow, like right there, but somehow you're able to see Venus without adjusting the focus. Okay? This is what they did. Now explain to me how that's possible, and how can, if Venus is much closer to the sun and Earth than Saturn is, how can you see both with the same telescope? Now, some people may say, I adjust the zoom on it. Sure, but you're not adjusting it that much. Explain to me how. I mean, it should, with the vast distances, when we're talking in the millions of miles, you should have to just get a whole new telescope. But you don't. You use it all on the same telescope. Okay? So the galaxies don't exist. The planets don't exist. All you're seeing is celestial bodies that are rotating above, and you can see them with the naked eye half the time. Okay? So that should tell you they're not that far away. Okay? And that goes right against everything Albert Einstein said about the light taking millions of years to travel Earth so that we can see it before it hits our eye. All right? So that's a direct contradiction. Or they'll say the Earth universe is expanding and the light is on it. They can't make up their minds what the truth is. Because one theory contradicts the other. But somehow they'll try to squeeze it all in. And so, you know, this is just something that you guys really got to think about. I'm doing this research to try to get the information out there. You know, so yeah, none of it's making sense. These things do not exist. They're in the celestial bodies that you're seeing up there are really, really close, probably only 1,000 miles away at best. All right. If I'm going to talk about planets, I also have to talk about the so-called Earth, which is considered a planet. But if you look here, you have stars in the background. So this one has stars, it appears. But then you have this moon here, which in size and relation, it would actually be, first of all, much further away, and it would be much larger, and it wouldn't be illuminated like this. So there's many discrepancies with this moon. Not to mention this cloud formation, you'll see this pattern a lot. So basically this moon is a composite. All planets and all moons are composites. Okay, there is only one photo of Earth, and that was in 1972 when the last space mission from a full photo of Earth I'm talking about from on the moon landings. Okay, now that's the only one, but since we concluded that the moon landings are not real, then we have no pictures of Earth, none. All right, so when we're looking at this thing, we're not actually looking at a real photo. Okay, and there's light all over. It's they never catch the sun in these pictures. It's not real. You don't see any satellites. There's nothing real about this. All right, so you know we'll kind of move past that. But that's just the one thing you guys got to realize is that there are no photos of Earth. Period. None. So when you tell people the Earth is flat, they think there's pictures. There's none, and NASA tells you they're all composites. All right. So now let's look here. This is how NASA made composite images before Photoshop existed. Okay, so here they're talking about how they've taken photos and they've compiled it together. This is what they call a composite. This is what they do to the Earth, they do to the planets, and they do to galaxies, because galaxies don't exist. Okay, so they compile these images to make a photo. Now, sometimes they'll say we have an actual photo, but then they'll say we used infrared lensing. Okay, so they'll use all kind of trick terms, but at the end of the day, none of the photos are actually authentic because they claim they can't take any true, regular, normal snapshots of the Earth. There's always got to be some sort of tampering with the photo. Okay. So let's go down. The guy who created the iPhone's Earth image explains why he needed to fake it. Well, we know all of these are fake. So, I mean, come on. They give you one little gem and tell you, oh yeah, we faked this one, but the other one's real. No, they're all fake. Okay, you can clearly see that. And you'll notice this Earth everywhere. So there are no photos of Earth, period. Now, here's interesting. Here's a picture of Jupiter. This is from 3 separate images. Okay, 3 separate periods, but they're always at the same angle. Now, if someone's in the North Pole and then someone's in the South Pole on the bottom side of the globe, they would see Jupiter upside down. Now, if you're going to tell me this was taken with a satellite, even a satellite would move in all different directions. It wouldn't take the same angle over and over again. This one has a moon in front of it, same angle. This one doesn't. This one's a little lighter, just about the same angle, nothing. So again, I mean, you want to talk about major bullshit. This is it right here. Okay? Yeah, you might be able to see something through your telescope, but you're not seeing this. Okay? In high detail like this, you're not. Not with any amateur telescope, period. All right? And even with the observatories, they're getting, the GPS ones, they're getting fed this bullshit. Okay, they're getting fed this bullshit through some sort of GPS feed or something like that. Okay, they have some system going. All right, here we go. This is Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. Again, same angle. Only difference is they colored this one. It's the same damn photo. All they did was darken this one, and then they put a little bit of a shading right around this edge where the pointer is on it. But it's the same damn thing. So they didn't change anything. They're not even trying that hard. They're just putting out photos. This is what I'm telling you. It's all bullshit. Okay? It's all bullshit. So here goes Saturn. Now this is supposedly an actual photo from a satellite. This is off NASA's website. And if you look, the sun is on the opposite side because you kind of see the glare poking out right here. So the sun is on the opposite side of Saturn, but somehow this part is still illuminated. Explain that. Explain that. Because what is the light reflecting off of? Sure, it looks pretty, but it's not real. And they're telling you it's real and you believe it because your ego won't allow you to say, look, it's all fake. Your ego won't allow you to know the truth. And what you're teaching, and this is the reason why there's so many problems on the planet, is because people are not dealing with reality. Okay? So, yeah, you might be seeing Saturn, some form of Saturn, but you're not seeing Saturn like this. Okay? They're not big, huge, million miles away gaseous planets. They're not. Okay? They're not solid. They're not made of ice. They're miniature moons, okay? Celestial moons. That's what they are. That's the new term. That's the new scientific term. But look at this. This is all off. Look at that. The ring starts in the middle of the planet. This is not even in the ring. The ring is in front of the Saturn. All right, guys. You know, just go out and purchase the book and subscribe and like and share. You know, I hope you guys are doing great out there, and you know, we're trying to bring the truth to you. So, all right, guys. Peace.